Hey everybody, as promised, we have Kevin Methvin with, is it Prosper California or just Prosper?
Prosper Real Estate. We went to go get our domain at prosper.com and it was taken. So we threw California in there because that's where we specialized our efforts.
Anyways, Kevin is a specialist on Oakley. And so I wanted to bring him here because I just really wanted to feature Oakley. Oakley is a special place in my heart. Fun known fact, I actually lived there when I was a little girl. When I lived there, we didn't have streetlights. We had like one restaurant, one grocery store, no streetlights, one school. It wasn't in the 1800s. It was in the 1900s, but it was a while ago. And so Kevin lived there for a while too. Kevin, your kids went to school there too, right?
Yeah. They both went to school there. My oldest graduated from Freedom, and then we moved to Discovery Bay, and my youngest graduated from Heritage at the end of the last 2 years. But they went through the K through middle school, most of the way through high school for sure.
All right. So we're bringing you on to just give us a little bit of insight. And Kevin has lived in Oakley, worked in Oakley, sells in Oakley, helps buyers buy in Oakley. So I figured he would be a perfect resource. So tell me a little bit about Oakley.
Well, as you know, growing up there, it's I like to joke around and kind of say that Oakley is a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll because you got a little bit of both, right?
Yep.
There's ag land on one side and brand new homes on the other, and you've got Big Break right there. And they're really revamped the downtown area. There's nice Skipolini's there. I'm sure you've had pizza and drinks there before as well. So there's a lot of expanding and booming in Oakley since it became the city officially in 1999. I moved there back in 2009, so I've been out in East County since then.
Yeah, that was a big deal. I remember because when I lived there, it wasn't a city. I was there in 82 to, I think we left in 86. Um,
Okay.
yeah, we were a town with oak trees everywhere. Now the oak trees are all gone and it's houses. Um, so if someone is looking to come out to the East Bay, the far East Bay, and they're looking at Antioch and they're looking at Oakley and they're looking at Brentwood and maybe even Discovery Bay, although I feel like we're way down. Um, what would what would differentiate Oakley? Like what kind of client would you steer towards Oakley?
Well, it just kind of depends. Like a lot of people come out here with looking at Brentwood as the anchor city because they've heard of Brentwood. They've maybe been shopping. Maybe they have friends and family that moved to Brentwood, looking at schools, etc. And Oakley kind of gets put to the side a little bit. But what they come to realize once they move out here is they want something with a big backyard. Maybe that's something that has a little bit better access to Highway 4. Maybe they're looking for something that has a little bit more of an agricultural feel or something that has a little bit better views, or maybe they want to be on the water out there closer to Summer Lake too. There's lots of hidden neighborhoods that they just don't know about until they move out here. I didn't know about it at all until I moved out here. I bought a car in Oakley on Craigslist a long time ago, and when I was looking at to move out of San Leandro, it was kind of during the downturn in the economy. We're looking for a fresh start, and I was doing my research, and I was like, "Oh, it's a cute little town." Where I went and bought that car, and then I started exploring. Like, wow, there's so much out here. Even the big main streets, kind of that are close to Oakley, like Moon Tree, where there's all that all the shopping. Like, where's Target? Oh wow, look, there's all kinds of stuff here, and people don't really realize that until they've kind of moved out here, or if they have somebody kind of giving them the tour of the areas, so to speak. But yeah, there's a lot to offer.
And it's funny because Oakley, when you think of Oakley, you don't think big like waterfront or water activities. You think that more like maybe, Pittsburgh or Antioch or even Discovery Bay, but there's the big break. I mean, and there's a lot, like you mentioned, Summer Lake with the communities built around it. Like there is a lot of water opportunities in Oakley.
Yeah, I mean, I've even sold a few on Sandmound right there towards the back. It's
I
technically
always
Oak.
forget that that's Oakley. Yeah, so you can
Yeah,
get deep water in Oakley.
yeah, absolutely. We've sold quite a few of them over there. In fact, I was just talking to a past client yesterday. Wants to buy an investment property. He bought on Sandmound. He's looking on Sandmound. There's one for sale right across the street. So
Yeah, our dearest friends actually bought on Sand Mountain, I think probably about 8 years ago. They just left. They went to Oregon, but yeah, that what a beautiful property and so much more affordable than maybe Discovery Bay by like
absolutely,
hundreds.
yeah, leaps and bounds, right?
So tell me a little bit about like the housing market, like median price, lower price. What's the range?
Well, you're going to see that, if you're moving to Oakley or Antioch or even off water Discovery Bays compared to Brentwood, you're going to see a pretty substantial difference in price. With that price comes, it comes down to the payment oftentimes for people, right? Where you're talking about getting them qualified for a loan, their down payment and their monthly payment. Parts of Oakley do have higher special assessments on the property tax bill. So it's something to be very careful about when you're cruising through the neighborhoods. And it's really weird. You can be in one neighborhood and then throw a football, and the next street over has like a difference of about $4,000 to $5,000 a year in annual property taxes for the same priced home. Again, working with a local agent that knows those areas and kind of can give you some guidance can go a long way. But yeah, I mean, there's parts that are older that have huge lots. There's parts that are a little bit newer that if you want new construction, I mean, they're still building new construction out there. They're building a huge park back there with water access, like we were talking about, closer to Sandmound. So a lot of development happening. So if people are getting in on the ground floor, they'll probably get a really great deal on the property in Oakley and watch it kind of expand and grow.
Now, on the assessments, they've been around for a minute. Are they something that will eventually go away like Melrose did, or are they there for the life?
They're there for probably quite a few years. It's based on bonds. You don't have to take that, do you?
Nope.
But what we're noticing is the further, like for example, on East Cyprus, those properties that go back towards Bethel Island and Summer Lake, the new construction there, the special assessments are sometimes 5,000 all the way up to about 7,000, and then over in Bethel Island, those new homes are sometimes 11 or 12,000 just in special assessments. So something to be careful with, but yeah, they've been around mostly since you'll see the home built in 2004 or newer have the higher special assessments in most cases. There is a little pocket off of Main Street and Laurel back there where they're about half than the ones just around the corner. So it's kind of case by case.
And so the biggest way to just kind of handle that is if you're looking at Oakley, just make sure that your agent and your lender are working in hand because what I always tell my clients is if you find a house before you even go look at a house in Oakley, text me the address. Text me the address because
Yeah,
just because you qualify for 700,000 does not mean you qualify for 700,000 in those pockets with those large assessments.
yeah, you had $5,000 on top, or $6,000. That's what 500 a month could be in just in property taxes, and that could make the difference of whether you qualify or whether you're even comfortable with that payment. Sometimes it makes sense to look outside of Oakley, but again, there are some really great deals, and you'll see that the pricing is very favorable in Oakley.
Talk to me about like something hidden gem, special, something about Oakley that maybe someone coming in wouldn't know about, but they should know about.
I would say that some of the pockets that are closer towards, like I said, Main Street and Laurel, they have the lower special assessments. They're more recently built homes. There are some that are built between 2010 and 2013 back there that, you can get a 3,800 square foot house somewhere kind of in that mid 7 to 775 range. Try to buy that same house in Brentwood, it's going to be $1 million most likely, right? So there are some hidden gems out there that you get a lot of bang for your buck. Homes like Summer Lake, I think those are great. The special assessments out there are less than some of the other areas. Yeah, there's an HOA fee. I think it's 129 was 120 a month now, but you get a nice Vegas resort style pool out there with some beautiful parks. So there's a lot of space for growing families that are looking out that direction. And they are doing some more building down the line there. There's a new Safeway that's coming somewhat soon. So
Good.
you won't have to drive all the way into Brentwood or go
Pack
to
a
the other
lunch
part of
to get
Oakley.
groceries.
Yeah, I lived that for several years. So now that I left, it's kind of like, man, I wish I would have had that when I was still living there. But again, a lot of opportunity.
What I love and like nobody knows about, and that might be by design. I love Neroli Estates. I love those big
Yes,
old mansions like built in the 80s on these like ranches and nobody knows about it. And that home anywhere else would be in the millions. I mean, they're still in the million, but not in like the two and threes. That place is amazing.
probably half of what you would spend if you were just to move that over to Brentwood or either other parts. Although those homes over there are zoned for a different school district. So the west side of Oakley is Antioch School District, Antioch Schools. So
Okay.
that's
So
something else
yeah,
to consider.
let's break that down. Let's get into schools because, like I said, when I was a kid, there was the school on Norcross, That was 5 to 8. You had Garinger, which was K to 5, and then all the kids went to Liberty. Um, that has clearly changed. There are schools everywhere. So give us a little bit of insight about the schools.
Well, again, and they've even added a school over there in Summer Lake that wasn't there when my kids were going to elementary
Wow.
school. So there's elementary school over there now, which is kind of nice for those parents that are, out that way. They don't have to fight traffic down East Cypress to go over to the other elementary schools. But yeah, as far as high school goes, they're going to go to Freedom unless they're on that west side. Then it's going to be another school district. I will say, in my personal experience, getting a intra-district transfer wasn't extremely difficult like it is in some areas. I know people coming from San Jose, they're real strict about where that school zone line is, that boundary is, and they're just, your kid goes there unless you can move. So it's very strict. Out here, it's a little bit of flexibility. But I think overall, if you're going to a local school out here, you're going to have a pretty good experience. Seems like some of the same teachers that have taught in Oakley and Brentwood move around a little bit. So, don't pay too close of attention to those ratings because, take it with a grain of salt, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, and public school is public school. You're going to get out what you put in. Unfortunately, we're gone are the days where you can just send your kid to school and not be involved. You have to be involved, and that doesn't mean that's bad teachers or bad schools. It just means there's a lot of kids in the school. There's a lot of kids. You can't just send that and expect the teachers to do it. You have to be involved, and um,
Absolutely.
great great schools. So, I mean, are you thinking that Oakley's maybe more like our first time buyer client? I mean, what, or is it really kind of all over the place?
It's kind of all over the place. I see a lot of people that want more land or bigger backyards, quarter acre lots. More affordable, definitely in Oakley or maybe even parts of Knightson than if they were in a Brentwood zip code, right? A lot of single story homes. So you have a lot of people that can't do the stairs anymore for one reason or another that need a single story home. There's a lot of older, when I say older, I mean not within the last 20 years, but maybe just even, built in the 90s that are very affordable. So those are great entry level homes for a lot of folks. A lot of people start there, like including myself, and then branch out depending on, or even stay in Oakley, depending on what their needs are. But yeah, we're seeing people that are like outdoorsy type people that want just a slightly less commute going down Highway 4. You have the people that want the bigger acreage for horses or just to have a huge backyard with a pool. Those people we see a little bit more focused in Oakley. But yeah, to your point, they are less expensive homes. So if you avoid those neighborhoods with the higher taxes and the HOAs, you're going to have a lot more affordable payment, and it's a great home that can appreciate in value.
And traditionally, Oakley's very, very much been a bedroom community. Like everybody drove to work, but I mean, they're making leaps and bounds and strides in bringing business. So Amazon's there.
Yeah,
The skating rink I heard is coming there this year.
yeah,
They've done a ton. I know I'm going to a concert, I think Saturday night downtown by the police center or by Big Bear at the little amphitheater. They are just really, really trying to bring business and jobs into town so that it's not so much of a commute out on Highway 4. Because that
yeah,
used to be the downfall. Like everybody was leaving at the same time, and Highway 4 was 2 lanes.
yeah. Yeah, so between expanding Highway 4 and, like you said, bringing some local jobs, a lot of new businesses opening up down that little cute little park, downtown part, starting to be a little bit more like Brentwood's downtown. More restaurants over there. Like you said, they have that area there where they have the food trucks and they have the little concerts. And they're really doing a good job of updating everything. You see all the new signage everywhere. You know you're in Oakley, right? Because you see all those signs everywhere that they added recently. So yeah, definitely come a long way since I've been living out here.
And talk about a little bit about, I know we get it definitely gets a better reputation than maybe some of the neighboring cities. Antioch, talk about, I think at one point there was some concern about resources, especially like out in Summer Lake, like the first responders and stuff were taking longer to get there. They've
Mm-hmm.
rectified that, right? Isn't there like a
Yeah,
fire station out in Summer Lake now, and they've added to the
totally. Yeah.
police department and things of that nature?
Yeah, definitely more resources out that way. And I remember just, I don't know, maybe it was 7 or 8 years back that Oakley was voted one of the safest cities to live in California. So, with the help of the sheriff's department right there as well, there's safety hasn't been an issue for me as long as I've been living out here in the Oakley.
Okay. And so anybody, any advice that you would give to anybody out looking in the Oakley area? I mean, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, well, it all depends on where they're coming from, right? So I came from San Leandro, where it's weather like today almost every day, where it's overcast and 60, 65 degrees. So you gotta get used to the heat. I would say, make sure that the home that you're looking after fits all those boxes. Usually, I'll interview a client pretty in depth to find out where their hot buttons are. Is it schools? Is it backyard space? Is it amenities? Is it the age of the home? Is it the fact that newer homes that are built have really good insulation and energy is not an issue, or that they're putting solar on the new construction homes out there as well? So really just kind of depends. Everybody's kind of case by case, but a lot of people that move into the Oakley area, this seems to be their kind of, I don't want to use the word blue collar, but just, good, honest people that are looking to make a great investment and raise their family. And Oakley's a great place for
Yeah, it still does have a small town feel. It really does. And it, even though it's growing, I think it's something like 44,000 people now.
that. Yeah,
So
something like
that's a lot. It's a few more from
that.
what. But you did mention the heat, and yeah, it gets hot. It gets really hot, especially if you're coming from somewhere else. So when we bought our first house there, we were living in Pittsburgh, and they bought a new construction Encino house. Fun fact, that was back in the days when they went into contract on their house and the interest rates were 12, and then when they closed they were 18. And I
Oh,
remember my poor parents just freaking out. Like my mom was a hairdresser, my dad was a laborer, and they had no idea how they were going to make that $600 something a month payment on the $60,000 house that they bought. That's now worth probably about five. But they thought, to save money, we don't need air conditioning.
yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. Like, yes, you well, and they're both from the East Coast, so they were not. You don't really need AC. Central
Yeah.
air is a luxury on the East Coast. I'm going to tell you now, if you're thinking about Oakley, you need AC. You probably even need a pool.
Yeah, well, it depends. Like if you end up in one of those communities like Summer Lake where they have a community pool, I think
Right.
that's kind of the way to go, where someone else takes care of the maintenance. You just pay the bill and you get to use it when it's hot.
Can you actually go on the lake in Summer Lake, or is it like here in Lakeshore where we can't?
It's actually, you can use a canoe. It's like no motorized watercraft, kind of like the lake over in Discovery Bay, where
Okay.
yeah, you don't
Okay.
see too many people out there though. It's more for the view than anything.
As long as there's no alligators in there crawling up in your backyard, then
No, we haven't experienced any of that. But it is nice to get a little bit of breeze off the lake too in the summertime. You do actually get a little bit of that here and
okay. Well, I think that we've covered a lot. And if you are interested in the Oakley area, give me a call. Let's run some numbers and see what your price range is. Because, I mean, as we've covered, there's anything from a first time home buyer to like $1 million estates. There's ranches. I mean, anything and everything that you could possibly want is in Oakley. And I can find you the money, and Kevin can find you the house.
yeah, like you said, everything from the 300,000 range all the way up to multi-million-dollar homes, depending on what your needs are.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you very much for coming on. And I'll make sure that we've got your info in here so that everybody knows where to get a hold of you. And I will, well, he's my neighbor now. We don't live in Oakley anymore.
Yeah,
So I will see you when I'm walking the dog.
yeah. See you then. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Bye, Kev.
All right, bye.